My next guest is a flyweight contender from Florida, and later on this month, he will be making his debut fight in the United Kingdom, where he'll be fighting Aaron Aby at Oktagon 52. Welcome, Christopher Daniel, to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on, my man.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.
Your longevity, your activity, what's been the key to having all these fights over a prolonged amount of time? Because you're one of the more active guys I see.
Yeah, I had to pick it up because when I started MMA, my amateur debut, I believe I was 25 or 24, and I had to become pro right away because like Daniel White said, he doesn't like people that's old. I'm 32, and I knew when I was 30, I had to pick it up, so I couldn't slow down. So we all get injured. There's no fighter that goes into a fight 100%. So as long as I can walk, throw punches, throw kicks, I got to be in there. So I always ask my coach, hey, promotion that's ready. Hey, I'm down right now. So that's how I stay active.
Christopher, now that you're in your 30s, do you have to change your training approach because of just your age and
No,
stuff? Like,
not at
or
all.
or or am I making a bigger deal out of it than what it is?
Yeah, you're definitely making a bigger deal out of it. For the norm, definitely they probably feel the age, but I feel like I'm 17, 16. I'm hanging out with the young bucks still, so it's crazy. I'm an OG now, but I'm still hanging out with the young guys.
You've been competing in mixed martial arts since 2016. We're going on 8 years now.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be fighting, and I was hoping I could ask you, like, what's changed about the game since you've been competing all these years that you've noticed?
Well, I see now it's more cross training. Back then it's like if you signed to the gym, you only stayed at that one gym and you learn from that coach, and that's it. Now coaches are saying, hey, go out and venture to another gym, see where you could learn from them, what you like, throw away, keep it, and bring it back here, and let's evolve. So the game's been evolving ever since I started.
For a young kid that's just getting into MMA, like, let's just pretend like we're talking about like a young 18, 19-year-old amateur guy. Like,
Yeah.
what advice would you give somebody that's like brand new to MMA to maybe make it to your level one day?
I'll say find a gym that you feel comfortable with, find a coach that you have a great, rapport with, that he could tell you or she could tell you, hey, you know what, this is what you got to do. And you guys just mix well together. Besides that, I would say learn the foundations, have a great base. Everyone wants to learn the fancy stuff, want to be a Sean O'Malley right away. Nah, learn the basic 1-2s, footwork, and then start picking up fights when you can. And your coach tells you when you're ready.
Let's talk about 2023 real quick. It was a year with ups and downs, 2 bouts, 1 victory, 1 defeat. Can you tell me a little bit about, like, when you unpack your 2023, what were some of the biggest lessons that you learned?
The biggest thing I could take away from 2023 is even if I'm ready for a fight mentally, if I'm not physically ready, don't take the fight. So I had a lot of things on my plate. School, I had a fire academy, I had paramedics, which is the whole year, and I was only training either the morning or at night. And for fight camps, I got trained morning and night, do my strength and conditioning, also do my runs. And I wasn't able to do that when I fought Easton. So I lost that fight. And I also went to Colombia too. So I wasn't really in the headspace when I fought Easton, and that caused the loss. And I knew I could have won. I broke him at the end, but it was just too late. And he eventually got me with a knee last second.
So I'm going to be a little bit of a spoiler here. And for people who don't know a whole lot about you, here's what I can see based off of the homework that I've done and the research that I've done about you.
Go at
It's
me.
you have built up a reputation for finishing fights. You don't stay in fights for a prolonged amount of time. You figure out a way to identify your opponent's weaknesses and you get it done. Like, your resume, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. You go and you look at your resume, and that's what the facts are. But I'm curious, are there other facets of your game that people just don't know about because you've been able to finish these fights so quickly?
Yeah, people don't see that I have great cardio. People don't see my striking either because I piece them up and then they just want to take me down. Like all my submissions doesn't come from me taking them down. It comes from them taking me down. And I'm like, yo, you know what? You want to play this game? All right, let me go finish. I'm not there for overtime. I'm not getting paid extra. So the quicker I could finish the fights, the better.
Do you feel like that makes it a little bit more difficult to game plan for somebody like you because there are just so many unknown variables about you?
Correct. Yes. Because if plan A doesn't work, I know how to go to plan B. I could go through every letter of the alphabet if something doesn't work.
I think you're getting this opportunity to fight in England because of what it was that you were able to do in your last performance against Velasquez. You ended this fight in under a minute. How were you able to get the finish so quickly?
I didn't want to get the finish quickly, to be honest. I wanted to go at least the third round because I had cage rust before fighting Eastman. Going to this fight, I wanted to prove myself. Hey, yeah, it's been a long layoff, and of course I lost, but I want to show my hands. I don't want to take him down, and I went for a takedown just to do a feint and to come back up to striking. And he eventually stopped it, and he took me down. I was surprised on that, and he just gave me something that I worked on where my coach is yelling, don't tap him, get up, get up. And just because I was working the K guard for about 2-3 months with my coach, Jason Oliveira. So it was just like repetition that just came like instinct. Like I didn't even have to think about it. So when I tapped him, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I tap him?
Well, congratulations to you, sir. It was very, very impressive. And since that fight happened, there have been a few other things that have been going on with your career. One of the things I found out is you recently signed with Ruby Sports Entertainment. Can you tell me a
Yes.
little bit about what prompted you to get a management deal signed with them?
So I always was worried about signing with a management because at the end of the day, they sign a lot of fighters, and then you might be at the bottom of the totem pole, and they might never get you sponsors, never get you fights. And thank God when I fought for Combat Night, they had a good reputation with Mr. Steve and Ruby. So I heard good things about them. We spoke, and the things that I wanted in my career, my manager also wanted that. So we knew we had to work together, and we made everything possible.
Let's talk a little bit about this promotion, Octagon. They're very, very popular throughout Europe, and for a lot of Americans over here, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Christopher's fighting with Octagon. What's Octagon?" But they're very
Exactly.
established. They're a very prominent organization, right up there with like KSW, Cage Warriors, that sort of thing.
Yes.
And what excited you most about just kind of being offered this opportunity? What's your opinion about this promotion you're going to be fighting for?
I saw that they were as big as Cage Wars or even bigger, And what made me like sign the deal right away was 8 years ago with my coach Jim Alice before he fought for the UFC. He was at Cage Warriors and he was supposed to fight Conor McGregor twice, and both of them pulled out. One of them got called to the UFC. I told him that day when I met him 8 years ago, I was like, "Yo, you know what? I want to fight in the UK." So it's crazy how now I'm doing the same thing. Now I'm bringing him out to corner me. So
And
pace.
let's talk a little bit about your debut fight for Octagon. Your opponent, I've seen him fight on multiple occasions over the years. He's a Cage Warriors veteran, a lot of
Yep,
tape on this guy, and he's a gamer. He's a tough dude. And
correct.
I'll say this about your opponent: tough guy. He'll fight anybody, and I like that about him. He's a gamer. He's going to show up and he's going to fight. What's the most exciting part about being able to challenge a guy that's been competing throughout Europe for many, many years?
It's crazy because he's definitely a veteran. He's an OG for sure. I think his debut was 2007 or 2008, like super long time in the game. And I'm excited because at the end of the day, yeah, he's tough. But I seen his Cage Warriors fights. I seen a lot of his fights, and yeah, he has a great first round, but he panic shoots. He's just gonna box and then try to get you the cage and do a sloppy double leg, and that's not gonna work with me. I'm high level now. That's not gonna work.
Your opponent and your game. Like when I think about this matchup stylistically, and when I think about what I know you're really adept at and where your strengths are, I think of submission offense right away. And you have 6 submission victories on your resume. Your opponent, you know exactly what I'm about to say. He's never tapped. Nobody's
No.
ever figured out a way to tap him. And does that change things as far as your game plan's concerned, or is it going to be just the same Christopher Daniel we've been accustomed to from Combat Night?
Yeah, nothing's gonna change. I'm gonna look for the finish, either standing or on the ground. Doesn't matter. All I know, he breaks, so I have the cardio to keep breaking him, and he's gonna find a way out himself.
Can you tell me a little bit about just the idea of going over to the UK? You finally get this opportunity. you know, now we're talking about having to get visas and travel and bringing your coaches over. And that's a lot, right? We're not talking about just jumping in the car and driving over to the place and then going home a few hours later. Like there's a
Right.
lot that has to go into that. Are you and your team kind of coming up with some sort of a game plan for how you're going to manage all the logistics for this fight?
Yeah, for sure. If it was just me and a coach that never had that experience, yeah, I wouldn't know what to do, what to expect. But because my coach Jim Allers, he was a fighter himself. He fought in the UK, so he has experience of where to go to train, what to do when we get there. So he's giving me all the itinerary of what we're gonna do for this fight. So people think it's a vacation, but it's not. I'm going there for a mission. After that, we can worry about vacation.
Let's talk a little bit about the purpose for your business trip, January 27th, against a gamer of an opponent. This is a fight that I'm really excited for. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. And there's going to be a lot of exposure to a brand new audience. A lot of people in Europe, you know, they won't have heard. This will be their first time hearing of you. What's something that you want the European audience, the English audience, what do you want them to know about you before you make this fight? And what can they expect to see on January 27th?
I just want them to know this is bigger than just going in the cage and just fighting. Like I have a story. Like everyone knows my story. The reason why I got into this, the promise that I made. I lost my kid, and I want to tell everyone, hey, you know what? Teach your kid how to swim. Be there with your kids because at the end of the day, you don't know when the last moment will be. So it's just way bigger than me, man. It's about the kid, Jaden Daniel, which is his story that I want to tell the whole world, not just London.
Well, sir, I am very much looking forward to your contest on January 27th. And I wanted to give you just kind of a final opportunity here. If there's anyone that you wanted to thank or any sponsors we need to shout out before I let you go, why don't we take care of that right now?
I just want to say thank you to my manager, Steve, my coach, Jim Allers, Jesus, everyone at IQ Movement, everyone at Allers Martial Arts and Vanna Rocha. I just want to thank you guys for pushing me every day to become who I am today. My sponsors, I want to thank Jakir Fitness, Alpine Fresh, Hippie Organics. And just if I'm missing anyone, I'm sorry, but thank you to all you guys for supporting me all the way through.
Well, Mr. Daniel, I appreciate you taking time out of your camp to chat with me, and I wish you the very best of skill at Oktagon 52.
Thank you so much for having me.